Okay, so in your notebooks, you should have AIM 5.6, include the number, copy down the AIM exactly as it's written here, and we just discussed your responses to the do now. Um, a lot of your answers to the do now apply to Rome also. They're not specific to this time period. So economic collapse, warfare, some of the things that you guys threw out there, certainly applicable. So before we kind of focus in on Rome itself, I just wanted to kind of go over what are some of the big, huge takeaways. So if we had to understand just a couple of things about this unit, what are the standout most important things that we have to understand? And that's really here on this slide. So um, Rome ended up having about 60 million people uh, living in the Roman Empire at its height. In the United States today, I'm ballparking 380 million people. So we're 6 times bigger than the Roman Empire, at least with regard to population. So in Rome, the top 1% of the population controlled 30% of the wealth. So that means that 70% of the total wealth of the Roman Empire is distributed amongst the vast majority of people. 70%. In America, the top 1% of the population control 40% of the wealth. So that means only 60% of that remaining wealth is distributed amongst the vast majority of people. So you can make the argument that in the Roman Empire, at least per capita, there is greater economic equality amongst the masses than there is in America today. So statistics do kind of point to that. There's some flaws in those numbers, but and the way they're being used here. But in general, the distribution of wealth and equality is the theme that we're trying to convey here. So that's the important part. Another big takeaway from Rome is really the systems of law and government. So representative democracy, especially from the Roman Republic, when they were using Senate and elected representatives to vote in place of constituents or groups of people. That is a system that we use today for sure. So we borrow from that. Also, their systems of law. We went over the 12 tables of Roman law, and we pointed out a lot of similarities between a lot of the old Roman laws and a lot of the contemporary American laws. So we can see the direct influence of the Roman Empire and its system of law in our society here today. Art and architecture copied throughout the world. You guys saw some of the engineering feats in the last classwork, and we've seen, there's also obvious influence from Greek civilization there also. These are kind of the classical civilizations. So we see a lot of this stuff today, out in front of the courthouse or the White House or in front of NFA Main. You could see those columns.
Attention staff, teachers, just please make sure that you allow some seniors in a little bit late into the virtual classrooms. The assembly ran about 5 minutes late. So some seniors are late, that's the reason. Thank you.
All right. Very important announcement. So we see a lot of that stuff copied throughout the world. And then finally, road system. We know that roads moved troops, so it helps with the military. It moves goods, so it helps with the economy. And also it moves people, which kind of carry messages and facilitate communication. And that communication is essential to government. So those are kind of really the big takeaways that I want you guys to know. If there's only a couple things you remember from this unit, let it be these things.